Hosts of any program on WURD Radio do not necessarily reflect those of ownership, management, or advertisers of this station.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Chris Murray Report on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. Ladies and gentlemen, man, as always, we basically have a lot of things to talk about today in the world of sports. First of all, the Phillies lost. The Phillies began the week. Your Philadelphia Phillies began the week in first place by 2.5 games in the National League East. And then the Dodgers came into town. They lost 2 out of 3, and then they lost last night. So the Phillies have lost 3 out of their last 4 games. And so now they're about a half a game out of first place. The Atlanta Braves are up there. And one of the things I felt that the Dodgers series exposed a little bit of is the fact that the Phillies bullpen, when it came down to 2 of those games, came down to a matchup of bullpens, and every little weakness the Phillies have had this year between the bullpen strength and between sometimes not getting the hits. I think in that Dodgers series, they were 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position, so they weren't getting the timely hits, and they did get that in Game 3 of that series, and you saw an outstanding performance by the bullpen late in that game. But then yesterday happened. They lose 6-1 to the Cincinnati Reds. So tough week for the Phillies. But it just goes to show you, Jordan, if that's going to be a long race. I mean, it's just one of those things where I don't think that I think it's going to be a long race. I don't think this is not a cakewalk for your Philadelphia Phillies. So at the end of the day, they got to do some things right. Now, they got to hit better. They're going to hit better. Bryce Harper is having a tremendous year, and they're going to hit, but you get exposed when you play teams that are better than you. The Cincinnati Reds are in second place in the National League Central, and they'll probably get one of those playoff spots. The winner of the National League East will have to win the division. So that's one thing. That's one thing we have in the news this week. Thursday, all you Eagles fans out there, all you Philadelphia Eagles fans who are concerned about the quarterback position. And so, Jordan, did you see the game the other day? You see the Eagles on Thursday?
Oh, of course, yeah.
What did you think of Jalen Hurts' performance?
Thought he should have got more time. I mean, 2 possessions wasn't really good enough, because I feel like if he had played the whole entire quarter, or at least got 4 possessions, I thought he would have at least had 2 touchdowns in him.
Yeah, I thought so too. I mean, but I think that on one level, I think that Nick Sirianni, and that was just like I said, I was moving kind of slow this morning, but I had a sound bite for Nick Sirianni. I was going to finish editing my sound bite when I figured, I looked and thought, oh my God, we got to do the show. but the thing about it, Nick Sirianni seemed to be happy with his performance. What I saw, because I wrote a column, and I think it will probably be out on Monday in the Sunday Sun. What I wrote was basically, I spent the whole game observing everything he did. Mm-hmm. I kind of give him a B- C+, although I may change that grade, because I felt like the B- in that area was only because of the stat line, but the stat line was deceiving because he completed. I mean, all of his passes were targeted very, except for the one he missed with Kes Watkins. And I'm going to talk about that guy. That guy's man. That guy. I thought he played better than Jalen Reagor did. I mean, but going back to Jalen Hurts, he was very efficient. I mean, guys, when he hit open guys, it's just that Reagor dropped a ball on a comeback route. He should have caught that ball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that ball was right in his hands. And if it's in your hands, you got to catch the doggone thing. Okay? Yeah. And then on the 1/3 down, when they moved the ball into Steelers territory, that ball was right in Zach Ertz's hand, dropped it. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, you look at the stat line, 3 for 7, 54 yards. Again, that's deceiving because he completes those passes. He has more yards, and he was just efficient. The only pass he missed on, and you can kind of understand it in the sense that when you're backed up in your own end zone, you don't have time to really, pinpoint a guy. And I want to talk about the kid's pocket presence because he threw the ball back, and he was under pressure, in back of his own end zone. And he overthrew the ball by about maybe a half yard. And, of course, everybody jumped on that. He missed him, and that's just, an indication of inconsistency. But a lot of quarterbacks miss that throw sometimes. I mean, sometimes you hit it, sometimes you don't. Mm-hmm. And I thought it also exposed how good Kes Watkins is going to be for this offense. There's your deep threat right there. And the rest of the guys, Devontae Smith during camp has been well, but like I said, the best ability that Devontae Smith has to have is availability. You got to be on the field too. So when he comes back on the field, he's going to be a good receiver, and he's going to really, really, I believe, do well. But I think that the rest of the game kind of deteriorated into a typical preseason game. And, I just got to a point. It got to a point where I looked at Hurts' performance. I thought for first preseason game, he did well. I mean, he did everything right. I like Kes Watkins, the touchdown he caught from Joe Flacco. I mean, clearly Hurts is, and I wanted to play a soundbite, and that I think I sent you the Hurts' soundbite. Here's what Hurts had to say about his own performance on Thursday night.
Be more efficient, always room for improvement. I'm never satisfied with anything. Can't have balls on the ground. We got to hit our money balls when we need them. So that's always going to be my mentality. Preseason, regular season, whatever it is, we truly have a standard for how we want to do it. So we want to do it at a high level all the time.
And I like his mentality. I mean, if nothing else, I like his mentality. I like his mentality and his approach to the game. And a lot of people, like during the training camp, a lot of my colleagues, I haven't, because of other things, I haven't gotten down to practice. But see, and one of the things I wrote in my column was, they said he was inconsistent in practice. Aren't you supposed to kind of make your mistakes in practice?
Exactly, so you can learn it. Mm-hmm.
Right, so you can learn what to do. I sometimes don't. I know everybody, all of us who are down at NovaCare, cover the team. Everybody fancies themselves an expert, and that's fine. I mean, people, if you believe you know everything, I believe I know probably a lot more than I don't think anybody gives me credit for, but that's another story. But the thing is, I don't think some guys, you work out your kinks in practice, in my opinion, and then it depends on what you do in the game. That to me is more important. What you do in the game, you might miss a guy in practice on one play, but then hit that guy deep. Well, you can hit him in practice. Some guys are great practice players, You get them in the game, they can't, they can't function to save their lives. So looking at that, I thought that, I'm not saying the Eagles are ready to win the NFC East. Miles Sanders was conspicuously absent in the game. Maybe they're just trying to save him. They're trying to save the running back. Although I will say this, though, Jordan Howard on one of the passes that Hurts completed threw a vicious block on a rookie linebacker or a rookie defensive end. I mean, Jordan Howard he pummeled him. I mean, those are the kinds of things.
That's a way to say welcome to the big leagues.
Right, because he got this guy. And the thing about it, in college, running backs don't really block that well. You get a running back that can block. You might stay on your team a little bit longer if you can block. You might get on the field if you're a rookie running back and you can block. Because the thing is, Brian Westbrook, when he was with the Eagles, was a heck of a pass blocker. Heck of a player.
Yep.
And all that. He was a heck of a player. And that he was, in addition to catching the ball out of the backfield, he was the ultimate weapon. And to me, the most dangerous running back you can have is a running back that can catch the ball out of the backfield. You can match him up on a defensive back or a linebacker. If you have him on a linebacker, you're just salivating because you're going to get big yards. Because I don't care what anybody says, not many linebackers can cover a running back with any kind of speed. So that's one thing. But if you can pass block, you're going to be on the field. You'll be on the field. That's your reward. So that's another thing. At the bottom of the hour, we're going to have Dr. Paul Hopkins, who's on earlier. We're going to continue a conversation that we had a couple of weeks ago about sports, mental health, nutrition, because I know some of you all have kids and you got high schools that are coming back. One of the things I would like to do in the fall, and if any high school coaches out there listening and all that, I like to find out who's going to be the best team in the public league this year, who are some of the top prospects, for college coming out of the public league this year, because I think football, it will be back in the high schools this year. And just to see, I'd like to do that a little bit more. So we'll be talking. And then the rest of our show today, a couple of people, we did have some guests scheduled, but they kind of canceled the last moment, through no fault of their own and all that. So we'll have some people next week. But another thing, boxing today, boxing this week, Errol Spence pulled out of his fight next week against Manny Pacquiao because of an eye injury. And we'll see how that certainly turns itself out. So let's turn ourselves over to the callers. We got Brother Joe from Germantown leading off and playing first caller. So, Joe, how are you?
Oh, hey, Chris. Hey, Brother Christian, how are you and Jordan? How y'all doing?
Man, I'm doing okay. I'm going to still get you that sandwich. I got sandwich on my board.
I know that, Chris. That goes first. Hey, Chris, before I talk about anything real quick on your beautiful wife, Denise, is that the same Denise Clay that's going to be doing that financial thing? Because they mentioned Denise Clay on one of the promos on WRB. She's going to be doing some financial thing with WFS Bank or something like that.
Yeah. She'll be on that show doing that. Yeah.
Oh, that's great, because our people, Lord knows, Brother Chris and Jordan, our people need financial literacy, man. So anything Sister Denise could do with that, man, I'll be listening and tuning in on that, man, because that's a beautiful thing, man. But Chris, let me say this before I talk about the Jalen Hurts or Randall Cunningham when these sportless Phillies. Your boy, Jason Whitless locked. Chris, if I was talking to you and Jordan off the air, we could talk black man to black man, because I respect this show. I would tell y'all because I would spell out what kind of white man he is, but because I just show him to keep it clean. I watched this Negro the other night, and the gloves coming off. That's a self-hating black man. He was on Tucker Carlson's show the other day. Now,
Lord. You watched Tucker Carlson. Oh, my God. Man.
I was scanning through the dial, and I saw his fat face on that. That's what this Uncle Tom talking about tonight. So I tuned in for a minute. He was trashing Black Lives Matter, and he used two black men to disparage. Now, these black men got surviving families. I'm talking about Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown. And as you know, Chris, your colleague at the station, Solomon Jones, interviewed Trayvon's father, Tracy, right here in Philadelphia. He had a heart-to-heart interview with him. And this man's grieving over his son being took away so viciously in such an inhumane manner. Well, this idiot, Whitlock, he going to sit there and tell Tucker Carlson, Tucker, I get so tired of black people always want to extreme racism, with the police and crime. You got two black criminals that got killed, talking about Trayvon Martin, the resisting arrest, and Michael Brown. And I said, first of all, you idiot, Trayvon Martin wasn't resisting arrest. He was coming home from an NBA All-Star game over his father's house with a bag of Skittles because it was halftime in the soda or whatever. I said, first of all, George Zimmerman was not a police officer, number one. And I said he was not resisting arrest. I said, you idiot, you. And then he crashed Michael Brown. And again, Michael Brown crime was jaywalking, so he got killed for jaywalking. So, I mean, you're going to sit up there and run your mouth. At least know the hell what you're talking about. But he's so busy, and he was like a dog. And I love animals, Chris. He loved it when Tucker Carlson was saying, basically, you're a good little ant. Tucker, Jason, you're such a courageous man that speaks like that. And so you love that little white man rubbing him on his head like an animal. He's a disgrace, man. Chris, I don't know how y'all guys could ever put up with him all those years. He's a disgrace, man. But that's all I'm going to say about him right now. But go ahead, Chris.
Well, can I say something here, Joe?
Sure.
My thing with Jason Whitlock, and like I said, years ago I debated him on Comcast around like 2006 about receiving and Stringer. My thing with Jason Whitlock, I think he says things, just to curry favor. I don't know, it's money or something that motivates him. I'm at a point where I take him with a grain of salt. And the thing is, he can say, I don't get outraged because, like I say, sometimes you can't get outraged at a guy who comes off as an idiot. And some of the things that he says, and yes, I said it, some of the things that Whitlock says, maybe he's doing it for effect, but, it's disgusting. The fact that when I'm scanning my channels, I look at Tucker Carlson for about 2 seconds, and then I got to go. I can't consume. You can listen to the other side, and I think you should listen, but sometimes when people put out the same garbage, you know what you're going to get from Jason Whitlock. You know that this is a guy who's going to just say things, against black people like who was that? Larry Elder, people like that.
Lord,
people who are so I don't know, you can call it self-hatred, self whatever, and I think you're probably right. But my thing is, they can say what they want to say, and that's fine. I don't listen because it's just like, turn past the salt. Turn another channel.
Chris, let me say this, because you're absolutely right. That's why I couldn't stomach it. As a matter of fact, I usually don't watch the Carlson because I can't stomach him either because he's such a bigot and stuff. But that's when I paused because I saw his face on there talking. I said, what this Negro talking about now? So I just happened to listen to him. But I'm sorry I did because, like I said, I try to avoid him and all the rest of the ilk because these people are despicable. They deplorable people, man. I just don't have time for them. But Chris, let me move on real quick for the Phillies and the Eagles. Jalen Hurts looked good the other night. And stuff, no question about. I saw little glimpses of the game. Now, on Randall Cunningham, as you know, his daughter finished sixth in the high jump. Chris,
right.
Let me say this in closing. Randall needs to let somebody else train his daughter. I don't care whether it's a white man, black man, because I'm going to tell you why. Because see Randall's methods, I read his methods. I see why Bassky finished sixth. He don't do what typical trainers do. He said he admitted his training methods with Bassky is unorthodox. He ever doing a weight trainer. What I'm saying, but she's a high jumper. You want her to get as much bounce as she can and stuff like that. I think that's unheard of because I think he's doing the wrong message. I think if you get somebody that's objective, that's not related to her, they'll point out her strengths and her weaknesses. Sometimes that's why Boy Jones had to get his father out of his corner. See, a lot of times in relationships with your family is good in some cases, Chris, but when it comes to sports, sometimes you have to get an objective view on it. Somebody that's going to push you behind to the limit and not going to be afraid to And I think if Randall put his pride aside and let somebody, I don't care whether it's a male, female, black, white, Puerto Rican, whatever, and let them train that, because she's still young enough where she could come to the next Olympics and stuff, I think she'll win a gold medal, because I think Randall had took as far as he could go, and I think he's actually hurting his, and I ain't know, Lord knows, you talking, nobody's a bigger Randall Cadam fan. I love Randall's a friend of mine. I love the brother, man, and I'm gonna call Randall and send him a letter and let him know that he should be, let somebody else train his daughters. I think Randall's hurting Vesty right now, because she's too tall and too talented. She should at least won a silver medal. Girl, 6'1". She should have. She set the. I think she set the record here in America, or she became or the second best record here in America in the trial. So it's not like the girl can't do it, right? But I think Randall's Memphis is hurting his daughter, Chris. What you think, Chris?
Well, I always think that, a lot of times parents are involved. I think that it's just the emotional closeness. You love your son or daughter too much, and you want so much you want them to succeed so much that you end up having to the emotional thing. And sometimes you may not always, I think of one of my youngest sister and my mother was kind of with her, and there was a point where they had to kind of move, away, because sometimes when you're a parent, you have that emotional attachment to the children. Sometimes you may be overly critical. You may be overly critical, or you may not know everything, all the nuance and all that. And I think that a lot of times parents tend to, we love our kids, and if that's the thing about about your parents. So I can agree with that. So no, I get that. So, but I gotta move to the next caller. I got Fishman on. Thank you for the call as always, Joe. Always appreciate your contribution. I'm gonna get you that sandwich. We got Brother Joe not Brother Joe. We got Fishman from University City.
Hey, brother.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Hey, man. At this time in the season, we only fish at night.
Okay. You know what?
It's 100 degrees every day.
Right. So it's 100 degrees.
Be real. It's
Okay.
100 degrees every day. I start fishing, say 12, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. Where do you go fishing? Just out of curiosity, where do you go?
Now you want my secret.
Hello?
Now you want my secret. But I do take my grandchildren and my family, and I use them as buffaloes, because we can carry all that equipment by ourselves. So anyway, I want to go to baseball.
Okay.
How you doing, brother?
I'm okay, man. I'm all right. So what do you got to say about baseball?
Give me your number one base stealer in baseball. Number one.
Right now in baseball, you talking about baseball?
History.
In history?
History.
Oh, Ricky Henderson, Lou Brock.
All right.
Yeah.
Who goes after Ricky Henderson? Because me and you are on point.
I would say Lou Brock and Maury Wills.
Lou Brock. I want to stay in baseball.
Yeah, Lou Brock, Maury.
Number 3. I really don't have a number 3, but I have a number 1. You gave me a number 2, but
yeah, Lou Brock.
Lou Brock. All right, give me why. And
well, Lou Brock. Lou Brock is, did at one point, before Ricky Henderson broke his record, had the second most steals, and I mean, had the most steals in the history of baseball. But Lou Brock, because he was a great overall hitter, and he started his career in Chicago. He had problems trying to play that right field wall, and he was seen as a slugger until the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals said, "Look, what you're going to do is you're going to get on base and use your speed." And from that point forward, he became really efficient player. He had a great '68 World Series before the Tigers came back from 3-1 down. So he was a great player. Maury Wills was another guy who was a great stealer of bases. But who were you thinking of at number, just out of curiosity, before I go to break, who were you thinking of?
After,
Come on,
I'm good.
Rain?
I'm good. I'm good. After Henderson, I would say Lou Brock.
That's what I said. Yeah, Lou Brock. Yeah, Lou Brock. I mean,
I only got 1, 2, but I want you to give me number 3.
Okay, I'll give you number 3, but then I got to go to break. Maury Wills. Maury Wills.
Go on.
Okay. Okay. So, no, Maury Wills. So, that's who my top 3 are. Those are the top 3. So. Anyway, we got to go to break. You're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, the Chris Murray Report. We'll be right back.
James Schuler Boxing Gym presents Round the Way Rumbling, an amateur boxing event. Saturday, August 14th at 750 Brooklyn Street in West Philadelphia off 42nd and Lancaster Ave. First bout is at 3 p.m. Purchase tickets for $20 at jamesschulerboxing.com or call 215-399-7483. That number again is 215-399-7483. Let's get ready to rumble!
Philadelphia Families PHL Pre-K, the city's free quality pre-K program, is growing and now enrolling. Over 160 pre-K centers are ready to serve children this year. There are no income limits for this free pre-K program. Children who are 3 or 4 years old as of September 1 can enroll. Call 844-PHL-PRE-K or visit phlprek.org to learn more and find a quality pre-K center. That's 844-745-7735. This program is made possible by the Philadelphia Beverage Tax.
As a community service, WURD Radio and the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium wants to keep you informed about where you can get barrier-free COVID-19 testing and vaccination this week. Deliverance Evangelistic Church, 2001 West Lehigh Avenue, Tuesday, August 10th and Thursday, August 12th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturday, August 14th from 12 noon till 4 p.m. Stay informed and stay well with WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Enterprise Exterminators, located at 4943 Wayne Avenue, has been in business since 1976 and can eliminate whatever pest problems you have. Enterprise specializes in bed bugs, lanternflies, and termites. Call for your free termite inspection today. Do-it-yourself kits are available. Enterprise Exterminators, servicing Philadelphia, Delaware, and New Jersey. Call now, 215-849-7070. Ask us about the WURD and senior discounts.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, we are back on the air with us, on Skype with us is my man, Dr. Paul Hopkins. Today, we started the conversation a couple of weeks ago as we were trying to do our Olympic coverage about sports, mental health, and nutrition. And Dr. Paul, I gotta ask you, you kind of deal in all those areas between herbs, between, mental health and also physical health and all those other things. Mm-hmm. We got a number of kids who are coming back, especially with COVID restrictions. We got a number of kids who are coming back playing high school football, college football, and all those other things. You know, a lot of the kids people putting themselves under pressure. We have a quarterback with the Philadelphia Eagles who is trying to win a starting job and all that. So I kind of want to cover the gamut of both physical, the physical health with nutrition, and then I want to talk a little bit about mental health. Because I read an article about Jackie Robinson and how that stress that he held back ultimately destroyed his health. So I guess the first thing I want to talk about to all the kids out there in terms of, they're outside. First of all, they're outside running in this heat, but all the kids preparing. What type of advice would you give some of these kids getting ready in terms of nutrition and being healthy physically? How would you go about that?
Yeah, if we're specifically talking about just in general, or you're speaking about the young athlete, because I think for everyone, you should keep that same principle, universal principle of food, because we are in a pandemic, yes, but we're also in a food desert, number two. And number three, we're actually faced with chemical industrialization like we've never seen before. And with those three things that are happening at the same time, it usually ends up with someone having all kinds of issues at a very young age, moving into young adulthood. A lot of, this is the first generation that will not outlive their parents. This is crazy. They will not outlive their parents. And why is that? Because we're getting off point with the food choices. We talked about today, just the very thing, talking about this high fructose corn syrup. That's in everything. It's everywhere. It's everything. Everything is about corn. Anything you think about, it has corn in it. So we got to pull off the things like the corn. But I say, get the children and adults too, family, everybody, get with the water first. Start with the water. Always get your water right. It should always be half the body weight in ounces. But get the right water. You got to watch all those waters out there that go against the anatomy. One of, the one that people see all the time, there's 4 waters that we got to stay away from. The purified, no filtered, no reverse osmosis, or distilled waters. Because they destroy the body, send you into that state of acidosis. We're trying to stay out of acid. So when you start to now build that up, we start with the young folks with the water first. Number one, get their water, half their body weight in ounces. So whatever they weigh, split it in half. And then we start with the water, get them on that water regimen, and believe it, Chris, a lot of things clear out just by drinking good water.
So, but in terms of guys, a lot of kids are coming in, they're lifting weights, lifting and all that. Nutrition-wise, you said water. From what I'm learning about weight loss is really diet. Diet really contributes and helps build muscle mass.
That's
helps,
right.
As a matter of fact, if I can stay away from burgers and stuff like that, I'll be okay. but talk about the role of eating right in terms of vegetables. What would you recommend a kid's diet be during training for football or cross country or whatever, training for any sport? What would you recommend them in terms of getting ready and being, efficient from a nutritional standpoint?
Absolutely. Whenever we talk about feeding, it's always based off, we feed you based off of what you do. So for an athlete, you got to have that good energy food. We say fruits and vegetables. Yes, that is correct. But you got to make sure it's organics versus conventional. Stay away from conventional. Conventional is usually when you go in the store and you see the numbers on the fruits and vegetables, and it starts with the first digit, the little stickers on the fruits and vegetables. When it starts with a 3 and a 4, that's either some kind of modification, conventional. Sometimes they modify the seed, the soil, sometimes both. So we try to stay away from those. You want the ones that begin with the number 9 in the front. Got it? So if you're doing fruits, we want to do fruits with the number 9 in the front. If vegetables, number 9. So fruit and vegetable base is good. I also recommend green drinks. Green phytonutrient green drinks are something that you can buy in any herbal store. Usually I say recommend go to the herbal store. I usually get the athletes on that because that's your true multivitamins. Stay off the hard capsule multivitamins because those hard ones, their pH is not strong enough to break those capsules down. So you need something like a green drink, which is a powder-based green drink, which has the best of the land and best of the ocean. So that's like the alfalfa, the spinach, the turmeric, the beets, and then you also have the sea moss, the kelp, the chlorella, you know, the purple dulse. All that stuff together makes a full multivitamin for you, and that's energy food. Because when you're out there, whether you hitting the baseball or you hitting the pads or you know, whatever your athletic requires, it's going to need hydrogen, which is energy. Your greatest source of energy is going to be hydrogen based. So that's anything green. So if you start with those greens, stick with the greens, that usually starts to turn things up, and that gives you an edge. Now, I start with the green drink, but then we add this other thing. This is for one when you want to build the bulk and the mass and your muscles. You know, a lot of people go with the protein drinks and things like that. I say go to the amino acid builders because those are the building blocks of the cells. And we have one called brewer's yeast. Not to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any disease, just food for the soul, bro. You know, I got to throw that out there.
Right.
So we have what's called brewer's yeast. Brewer's yeast. And brewer's yeast is actually non-active yeast that basically you take and you would add it to your green drink. It gives you bulk, it gives you mass, but it gives you all of the essential amino acids that you need. So that means that you'll get those building blocks, and that's how the players build up the mass and the weight. That's really the real ingredient in a lot of the protein drinks, but you're getting it in its raw state.
Let me ask this question. So should like we all like to eat meat? God knows I do. I have to stay away. I always tell myself, you know, I gotta stay away from the steaks and the burgers. But how much meat should or how much? I mean, you know, because conventional wisdom says that, well, you know, you a lot of the players have the training table at the college level. They have all the meats and steaks and all that. How much of an intake should they have? Should they limit the intake, increase the intake? What you know? How much meat should a aspiring athlete eat?
Excellent question, man. First, I want to dispel the rumor. The rumor is that people think that you need meat or protein from meat in order to get bulk and mass. That's not correct. The highest protein is always going to come from the animal. You know, we're actually not the animal. I'm sorry, but from the trees or the plants. And the only reason that the animal has the protein is because the animal eats the tree. That's it. It eats the plants. So the largest animals in the animal kingdom are vegetarians. Where do they get their protein from? You got the mastodon elephants, you got the giraffes, you got the gorilla. Ain't nobody messing with no gorilla. So where is he getting his protein from? He's getting it from the plant. So that's why that's called complex carbohydrates. Got it? Complex carbohydrates. That's the real energy. But if you had to go to any meat, you got to stay off of meats that have been, you know, where the meat comes from corn-fed beef. That's the ones you got to stay away from. That's your normal burgers and things that you buy in most of the stores. They're going to be corn-fed burgers. You need what's called grass-fed, because that's the leaner meat. That's the leaner meat. That's why the Cowboys always had that little edge. Y'all remember when back in the day Tom Landry used to have, you know, the fearsome foursome and all of them. He used to have them boys lined up. He used to give them grass-fed beef. They down in Texas, man, made a difference because that's a leaner cut, which means that's where they were getting the higher base protein. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know. Well, like I said, I'll have to get Denise to start buying. I mean, Denise knows all that. Denise knows all that stuff because, you know, if there's stuff in the fridge, you know me, I'm going to go in there, salami sandwich. I'll pull it out, you know.
Yeah.
So, but I also have to wonder, you say you deal with a kind of a holistic health here. Yeah. So how much does nutrition and all those things factor into your mental approach to things and whatnot? Because, you know, some foods make you sluggish. Some foods make you, you know, not as mentally alert as possible and all that. So because we come back from break, and I want to talk about mental health and how athletes have to process that too. So how much does diet factor in your mental alertness?
It's everything, man. You could see what's happening with LeBron and those that, even when Kobe, when he was later in his career, you could see how they were focused, and they were focused with everything they, not only in their training, but in the way they actually ate, because they knew that you cannot possibly get the performance that you need by eating bad food. You can't eat it. When we just talked about the protein, right? Mm-hmm. The difference between the corn-fed beef versus the grass-fed beef is a saturation of 9-to-1. You got 9 grams higher in saturation, and it's all fat. As opposed to 1 gram of saturation with the grass-fed. So that's why you don't get a lot of fat. You get more muscle, and that's where it works better with your body. Because when you buy a hamburger now, it's processed with more than 65 to 75% just all fat and filler, which is not even beef. So those are the things that you got to do. So when you're dealing with focus, you can't get your mind right, because that starts to pollute your liver, and your liver is connected to your brain. That's why we call the liver the organ of the emotions, drama, trauma, stuff that's going on. So when you start to get focused, and you remember, like we talked about, if you're someone who needs a lot of concentration with what you're doing, whether you're, a gymnast, or if you're playing football, baseball, any sport, you're going to have focus. And that throws your focus off when you don't have the proper amount of nutrients. So when we come back to break, maybe I'll give you some brain food. How about some brain food? We can use some brain food.
I can use some brain food, because sometimes I get up in the morning, all right, man, bagel. I gotta slap stuff over my face, water and all that stuff. So when we come back, we gotta go to break. You're listening to 96.1 FM 900 AM WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, the Chris Murray Report. It's coming right back.
In Philly, COVID-19 vaccines are safe, free, and effective. It protects you from contracting the COVID-19 virus. Vaccines do not change your DNA or contain microchips. Caribbean people are not immune to the deadly virus without COVID-19 vaccine shots, and it does not affect your immigration status. Join us for our back-to-school COVID-19 vaccination resource fair on Saturday, August 21st from 11 to 3 p.m. at Sturgis Recreation Center in Alany. Free food, school supplies, and vaccines. Visit www.caribbeancommunityinphiladelphia.com, Facebook or Instagram page. Jefferson Health offers no-cost COVID-19 testing sites at St. Raymond of Pinafore Church. Testing is on Thursdays and Saturdays. The second testing location has been added at Richard Allen Preparatory Charter School. Testing is on Wednesdays and Fridays. For testing hours and more information, visit jeffersonhealth.org/community testing.
AARP is working to protect Americans 50+ by making sure you have the latest information about the COVID-19 vaccines and the distribution plans in Pennsylvania. Just visit aarp.org/PA vaccine to learn who's eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine, when, where, and how to get it in Philadelphia and the rest of the Commonwealth, and what you might want to discuss with your doctor. That's aarp.org/PA vaccine.
WURD Founders Day. Don't miss our annual Founders Day live broadcast and celebration, Thursday, August 26th, honoring the life and legacy of our founder, Walter P. Lomax Jr., MD, featuring a very special broadcast of a ceremonial street naming for Dr. Lomax from 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. at 1800 Wharton Street, the site of his first medical center. Hosted by Charles Ellison. The day will also include a series of virtual panels and conversations exploring health, wealth, and independent media. Start or renew your forward membership on Founders Day at the special discounted rate of just $80. For more information about WURD Founders Day, visit wordradio.com. WURD Radio Founders Day is brought to you by Pico, Keystone First, Bank of America, Ready Set Philly, Comcast, Brown's Family ShopRite, Temple University, and Councilmember Kenyatta Johnson, 2nd District. You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, we are back. Now, before I get into the conversation, we are talking off the break. We were talking about, okay, for us sports writers, for those of us who are in press boxes See, there's food. I was at the Eagles game on Thursday, and this was after being at the Phillies game all day. And a lot of times, food is now they got popcorn, they got they have a sponsorship with there you go with corn again. They got a sponsorship I think with Dunkin' Donuts, and they have all these cakes. I mean, and then occasionally during the season they have cannoli. Well, growing up in between Little Italy and Baltimore and here in Philadelphia, I like cannolis. And so for those of us who are covering the game, like say me and everything, how do you avoid that temptation? And and plus in fact, I want to ask you about budgeting time, because I have a hell of a time trying to budget my time around the exercise, get to Planet Fitness, get to the gym and all that. So how do we, first of all, the ball, what advice would you have for me going to the ballpark, all that food out there, because it's hard to say no.
Yeah, I know, man. I know. Here's what you do. And I can say this by experience, so I'm not guessing, bro. When, every year, I told you we go to the Major League All-Star game, and, they send me around, for my father with the Negro League baseball thing. So I've had the pleasure of going to a lot of stadiums. I went to a lot of stadiums all around the country. And here's one thing that I noticed that all of them have. They all have a vegetarian side somewhere. I found a vegetarian something somewhere in there. They even have veggie steaks now. So that's a healthier choice. It's not the absolute complete choice, but let me tell you, it is a lot of good alternatives there that you can do that without doing so many of the things that have heavy calories, heavy meats, things like that. So there are some good choices that are there. You just got to kind of look around, because they are catering towards people who just don't eat a lot of meat. They're pulling off of stuff. And where the people ask for what they want, they're going to get it. So that's one I would say. Look for always the vegetarian menus. There is, in most of the ballparks that I've been from New York to Cincinnati, to Cleveland, to San Diego, even to Florida, all of those stadiums that I've gone to, they've all had some kind of vegetarian menu. Because, I'm looking all the ways. I'm like, all right, what do y'all got in there? I can't eat this stuff, man. What do y'all have here? And they always have a healthier choice. So I would say, number one, look for that. When it comes to drinking, as far as, you're at the ball game, I come from a baseball family. It's nothing but beer, hot dogs, and, everything is around us with that. That's all we, are exposed to. So I had to make the adjustments myself by, going with the iced teas and things like that. Just don't deal with the sodas. The sodas are high fructose corn syrup. There you go, the corn again. And that's the syrup. See? And that's another thing. And then when the grease that they use is usually probably something that's cooked in something like a corn oil. So you got corn again. So it's all of this corn. That stuff goes in and starts to really make your body think that you have no nutrients, and your body starts to look now for water. So then you start to shut down. And then that's what causes diabetes and high blood pressure and everything else. So that's one thing. And I know you mentioned also about how do we get in shape? How do we start off with this thing? With you so busy, because, everybody know Chris Murray everywhere. You everywhere, bro.
That's true.
You everywhere. So what you would do, that's called the 4 and the 5 o'clock crew. That's why you got so many people like The Rock and all them. Their schedules are busier than anybody. They wake up 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. They getting it in, bro. And the here thing, hear me now, Chris. Hear me now. Come on, Chris. Stay with me, bro. Stay with me. They usually start at 5 in the morning, but guess what? You don't need that much time. You need about 25 minutes a day. If you can do 25 minutes of a cardio in the morning, you can change your life right there. 25 minutes of cardio in the morning, there's plenty out there. There's PX90, there's T25, there's a whole lot of, online stuff that you can do on YouTube. Just 25 minutes of something, but here's the key. You're trying to get to sweat. Because if you sweat, you move this thing called the lymphatic system, which is the poisons in your body. And if you move that, then that's what's, starts to move the system. Now you start to burn fat, the toxins, and then that's when it all takes over. So that's when you get back to rest. Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I'm gonna change gears. I was reading an article of a thing called EverythingZoomer.com, and they talked about Jackie Robinson and stress. We talked about in this past Olympics about stress and all those things athletes go through that we don't see because we say you gotta be mentally tough. And how much can stress and all these other things that athletes go through, how come if they don't manage that properly, how does that affect their mental health? How does the mental health aspect, because Robinson had to deal with racism and all these other things, but how does that mental stress, how can that impact upon you in your career and even after your career?
Yeah, and I see a lot of this because I deal with some of the professional athletes on both basketball, football, and baseball, and they talk to me all about that. The stress and ability to perform, and coming from a family of professional athletes, I know that the pressure and the stress. I used to tell my father all that even when I was playing. I was like, sometimes I get out there and I get lost, Dad. He's like, yo, it's part of the game. You have to understand that it's a tremendous amount of stress on an athlete to perform and at the level which, media and television and also advertisers want that performance level so that I can sell this product. But if you're not performing at that certain level, they'll pull your advertising, your marketing on you. And that's why, that's what the pressure is. Nobody wants to be the one that had the sponsorship with Nike or the sponsorship with Adidas or somebody like that. Or you saw what happened when Tiger Woods, when he went through all that mess, they pulled him off of the EA Sports games. All that stuff is that nobody wants that. Right. So the pressure that it puts on someone definitely creates a whole nother tension, and Jackie Robinson definitely went through it. And some say that's even why, when his hair went white. You remember his hair went white? He's full hair to white hair. That's melanin. That's when you're so stressed, your body starts to misfire from the pineal gland, and you stop making melanin. And then that's when you start to see things like spots on the skin. You see people, you see, folks would say, I got these spots and things like that. And it's messing up the endocrine system. That's what feeds you. So, yeah, that has a lot to do with it. So we have to start to introduce brain food, things that start to stimulate the endocrine system or endocrine system. And we do have some herbs for them, man. So we can, roll off a few if you want. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask about that because herbs, I've noticed over the years that a lot of times there's some athletes I've seen who were kind of bulky in their careers, and then they, late in their careers, there was a guy years ago who played for the Detroit Lions and Cleveland Browns named Al Bubba Baker. And I saw him in a training camp back in 1990, and he was really slimmed and all that. And he took on Tony Mandarich, who was like the big guy who was in the steroids. Mm-hmm. And I swear to God, he handled this guy. He handled him, this big, bulky guy who was, steroids and stuff. And he just handled him. And I think that it seems like as athletes get older, when you lose weight and everything, I guess it made him, he was also mentally better. He was also mentally better, but you said herbs and stuff. I'm curious about the role of herbs, especially, especially at that point in the guy's career, to make them mentally and physically alert. Because, like I said, diet. We emphasize in this segment that diet can control even the mental health aspect.
You bring up so much to unpack there because, one of the things that I see a lot of, I get a lot of the linemen, the big linemen, the brothers like 200-300 pound linemen that used to play with the NFL, get a lot of them. And here's the thing, when they are training them and they have this rhythm and circadian rhythm that they put them in to eat, and they're giving them all the beef and all the pork and the things like that to bulk up. See, when they keep that rhythm going for so many years, and then when they leave the NFL, they don't have the same level of activity, but they keep that same appetite, that's when it starts to tear them down. And across the board, there's a whole movement. I'm sure you probably already covered this with the NFL players that are seeking redemption from the NFL because they felt that they were breathing in a way to eat, and all of them have some kind of chronic disease, heart problems, knee problems, hip problems. You know, a lot of them are walking literally like they're crippled, man. They can't even get around. And they have no ways of supporting them because they don't want to pay out to some of their disabilities with the health plans and things like that. But yeah, a lot of that has to do with the way they were eating when they were playing versus now having that same appetite, but they're not as active.
Yeah, and that, you know, again, and there are a lot of other things, you know, I guess when you are out of the game and you have to deal with that depression, you deal with, and I was wondering about that too, because an old colleague of mine in newspaper business was once a college athlete at a major program. And he told me that after his college career was over, you know, he knew he wasn't going to go pro, but he said that there was a point of depression after that. I think it was like the endorphins are different when you hear the roar of the crowd, you know, which is why I think a lot of athletes, especially in boxing, try to come up, you know, try to go back and, you know, boxing again because they want to feel that. How much does that impact?
Excellent. Chris, you asked the excellent questions, brother. That's why you do what you do, man. You know what it is? It's the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands are firing off. So when you hear the roar of the crowd, you know, and then you get into the game, it takes you to the next level. Everybody ever say you got in the zone? Well, when you get in that zone, that's when you have them right on top of your kidneys. It's called the adrenal glands. And that sends you into this state of what's called fight or flight, which means I got to perform, or either got to run, or I got to fight, you know? So that's where your body goes into a whole nother zone. And we've seen different players, and they said, man, that guy, he couldn't miss a shot, man. Or, you know, he ran the joint back with 3 seconds left, you know, with no time on the clock. All those dynamic, incredible things are going in a state of fight or flight. Now, moving forward, you no longer get into that state of mind. That's like being around enemy lines and no longer you're in battle. That's post-traumatic stress from what you used to do. That's what's happening. It's almost like very much similar to post-traumatic stress, which a soldier goes through when he's in battle. He's like in the battle like this all the time, and then all of a sudden now he's not doing that. I can't sleep, man. I can't sleep. I keep getting these flashbacks of being out there in the game. You'll see a lot of football players say the same thing. A lot of linebackers, man, they wake up in the middle of the night, you know, running backs, getting up like this. You know?
Even though we got to end this segment, I got to tell you, when I stopped, it was funny, when I stopped running track or playing sports, I went through that for a minute, for a quick, even though I wasn't at a high level. But no, that's interesting. Man, we're running out of time. We're out of time.
Chris, we gotta
make this a regular segment, man. We gotta figure out a way to talk about this because this is very important. Very, very important, man. I mean, it's just something else. And we also got to talk about your connection to baseball. We're going to do that. We're going to bring in, you know, the whole crew with that. But man, thank you so much.
Always a pleasure, Chris. When you call, brother, I'm on it, man. I'm on it, doggone it.
All right. And you were on it today.
Thank you, brother.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourself as always, man. Thanks a lot.
Much love, brother. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I almost dropped my thing. Ladies and gentlemen, listening to WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, the Chris Murray Report will be right back.
James Schuler Boxing Gym is now offering youth and team boxing classes beginning Saturday, July 31st. Gain confidence, body strength, camaraderie, and boxing skills. Physical fitness is great for mental and physical health. Go to jamesschulerboxing.com for more info and registration, or call 215-399-7483. That number again is 215-399-7483.
Tune in Saturday, 3 p.m. for Let's Talk Safety with Fire Commissioner Adam Teal. Learn about fire prevention and emergency preparedness, and join the conversation.
What grows in the forest? Trees? Sure. Know what else grows in the forest? Our imagination, our sense of wonder, and our family bonds grow too. Because when we disconnect from this and connect with this, we reconnect with each other and build family memories we will carry with us forever. The forest is closer than you think. Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. It's easy. Just put in your zip code to find family-friendly outdoor destinations near you. You'll also find guides to free activities, games, and amazing forest facts. Give the magic of the outdoors to your kids and reconnect with your family. Find a forest near you at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live on WURDradio.com, the WURD Radio app, or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio, independent Black media. You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent Black media.
Okay, we are back. Man, that was a great segment, man. Talking about sports, nutrition, mental health. Those are the kinds of things. You know, you're not going to get that in any other situation on the radio. And I know in conventional sports talk circles, we're not talking about, the Phillies. Although we do, but, there's always nuance behind it. So, but I want you to add to the conversation. We're going to talk some Eagles. We're going to talk some Phillies. We're going to talk some Sixers under Danny Green. I didn't get to his press conference the other day, but the Sixers, I think another video surfaced, Jordan, of Ben Simmons taking jump shots.
Yep.
I don't know, man. I feel like saying, I don't know, man. I don't know. But ladies and gentlemen, you want to talk to me about things. It's too hot for y'all to be out here today. So you should be on the radio listening to your brother talk about sports. 215-634-8065. 1-866-361-0900. Vent your spleen on Eagles, nutrition, sports, mental health, racism, all these other things. One thing I've been trying to talk about, there was a lawsuit talking about the NFL and how they view black players, and talking about black players had a capacity to absorb more. Something, I'd look at that thing again, but it was awful. And we'll get into that if you want to talk about anything you want to talk about today in terms of sports. Brother Timothy from South Philadelphia, what's happening, man?
I liked your conversation, sir, with Dr. Paul and diet. It's just important, Brother Murray, and I'm going to say that because when I came along, some stuff I never believed in training, self-defense, and hearing stuff from there may be rumors that might not be true. I've known for boxers who have trained, who have drank their own urine. I'm going to tell you the rest.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you something that I didn't believe. It took me a while to believe it. I don't know if it's true. And he's not around for me to tell me the truth, but they say Sugar Ray Robinson was always drank cow's blood. Or something about the protein in the cow's blood. And I know that,
man.
Yeah, and I know that that folks I train with talk about the raw egg and something about the protein in the egg, and I knew they used to eat Gerber's baby food. Remember the Gerber's baby food? And I always knew that I thought you could have a healthy diet and very much vegan, because I know that most vegetarians, myself, I'm lacto-ovo, and I'm not a thin guy. And a lot of people think you're a vegetarian, fruits and vegetables, maybe not even fish, vegan. They're big people. So I said to myself, and one of the strongest animals in the world is an elephant. So I said to myself, I guess, right, and people look at beef and chicken, and they got to load up on that. And I know from studying Muhammad Ali, I try to study him inside and out,
Sugar Ray Robinson, Muhammad Ali. And sometimes even Elvis Presley. You know, Elvis Presley is a great martial artist. Did you know that? Kempo karate.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, he was pretty good, man. He learned out of a guy by the name of Ed Parker. Ed Parker gave Bruce Lee his first form. So, and Elvis learned a little bit in the military. Matter of fact, he learned a lot from Ed Parker and learned a little bit in the military. Enough to defend himself. A lot of people, and he could move. He was limber, he was fast. He could kick. You know, he could punch.
Right.
But I'm gonna say to you that diet is important in how we as an athlete conduct themselves and turn around, and when they let it go, they become huge and big. Because Ali's problems when he was training, he always liked ice cream, and that's nothing but sugar. It would blow you up. So a diet for a person, and he had cooks that cook for him, bean soup, you know, best stuff. But even eating the best stuff, too much of that can throw you off track. But that diet as an athlete and how you do it, because even the people in the Olympics, they get up early, they have a certain amount of things that they do, and they eat a certain way. Now, whether you and I think it's healthy or not, they do eat a certain way. And, you know, all this pasta, all this sugar, you know, blows you up. And here's the other thing. Because you're thin doesn't mean that you're not strong. And because you're big doesn't mean that you're not strong all the time. I guess it depends on your body metabolism and your weight. I knew a guy, he was so big, he could do 100 push-ups because that's what he did. If you keep doing it, you get better at it. So I like that. I like that piece about diet. So it's interesting because you want to be as powerful as you can with whatever you do to get you to the course where you're at for the goal. But at the same time, if you're doing the wrong thing with your body, thinking you're eating wrong, well, that's the opposite.
No, I thank you. I go through that a lot, you know, because I'm not going to lie. I mean, part of me is a former athlete, you know, long past my prime. And sometimes when I go into the gym, sometimes I'm worried I go to the gym that I'll work too hard to the point to where I'll stop doing it. Because I did that maybe about 15 years ago. I just worked really, really hard. And it's just one of those things where, you know, you really have to, you know, work on the diet. I think diet this time around, and I think diet it works. So, you know, you're right. Okay, BG from Germantown. What's going on, BG?
Hey, how you doing today, Chris?
Man, I'm doing okay, man. Just, you know, sitting here. And you notice, ladies and gentlemen, I have my water here, so I'm drinking my water, listening to all this. But BG, what's on your mind today?
I was laughing with Randall because I remember right after the meltdown Simmons had, he said nobody's going to give up a lot for Simmons. He said, you know, I thought somebody would be stupid enough, but I remember him saying right after, he said, man, as terrible as that guy played, who would give up quality players for him? And it looked like he's turned out to be right because you would have to be a fool to give up an all-star player. If Portland gives up Damian Lillard for Ben Simmons, they're out of their mind. I would not trade any – I would give up draft picks, but I wouldn't give up an all-star for Ben Simmons because he's a bogus all-star as far as I'm concerned. He's not a great player. And the way as horrible as he played, I wouldn't give up a lot for him. The Sixers are out of their mind trying to get a king's ransom. Like, they act like they're trading Wilt Chamberlain or somebody.
Yeah. I would agree with you because I was talking to somebody. I think it was it might have been Marcus Hayes or somebody from, you know, one of the papers. I think it was, or maybe Jack McCaffrey. I see him down at the ballpark a lot, and we were talking about how much was the GM from the Golden State Warriors laughing. I mean, how long did it? You know, it kind of reminds me of a scene in the movie Be Cool with Cedric the Entertainer and Andre 3000. They were all laughing, and you had the part where Andre 3000 was like, and you know, it was. I'm wondering how much that they were laughing when Daryl Morey was putting that out there for Ben Simmons, because my thing is, you know, the fact that teams were hacking Ben Simmons was a clear indication to me that that's how they I mean, And the hard part about that is that as a defensive player and as an assist guy, he did play at a high level, but that shooting situation, those lack of being able to score, and the fact that everybody on national TV saw the fact that he had an opportunity for dunking that Game 7 and he passed the ball. Yeah. And that to me was a clear indication. It's a clear indication that, you know what, dude, you got scared that you were going to get hit or get fouled, and then you have to win the game from the line. And of course, you know, and to me, for that negate all the physical ability he has, because we talk about sports and we talk about mental health, but there's also a point in sports where you gotta be fearless too. You can be fearless and be healthy from a mental health standpoint, but you also in that situation, you know, I don't know if I was ever, and like always, I joke about my athletic career as relatively short-lived as it was, but one of the things I always said, you know, you got to give all your ability. And if you give all your ability, even the guy who's not the greatest athlete in the world can do something.
That's right.
And that to me is, you know, Ben Simmons, in the sense that, you know, dude, you know, if you don't know how to shoot, learn the game. Don't even send me a video. I don't want to see you sending me videos.
Right.
You don't need a video.
Don't. We're talking about guys who you brought up a great guy, Keem Olajuwon, and I talked about how Giannis, he was raw, he developed. Jason Kidd developed a shot. You know a guy we forgot who was a great defensive player, but really turned himself into a really good offensive player just by working at it, Gary Payton. When Gary Payton first came to the league, he couldn't shoot a lick. But by the end of his career, he was a really good offensive player. When he came out of Oregon State, he was just known for defense, and he couldn't shoot, but he worked at his game, and he got better. And I see Earl Spence pulled out of that Pacquiao fight. I was kind of surprised. I was disappointed to hear that, but, man, this has been the worst year of boxing ever, like fights being pulled out and all. But, you know, they showed video footage of Earl Spence sparring. He looked really bad, man.
Wow.
Yeah,
so you talking about his eyes?
You know, because
Are you talking about his?
And you better be at your best. So I think it's probably a smart move, because the video footage they showed him sparring, he didn't look sharp at all. You know, that car accident took something out of him. It had to, because, I mean, that man he should have been dead, really. I saw a video of that. They said if he would have wore a seatbelt, he would have died, but because he did, it catapulted him from the car. But even when he beat Danny Garcia, he didn't look like the Earl Spence we saw before that accident.
I would agree with that. I mean, I just think that it probably took a toll. They said, now what I heard, what I read was that it was damaged eye, and what kind of like George Foreman before the Ali fight back in '74 or '75 or '74, and so. So from that standpoint, you know, that's going to happen, you know, and you got, and maybe that was for the best. Now that fight, I mean, they found a substitute for Errol Spence last week. I didn't get the guy's name, but
you guys, it's the guy. A lot of people thought.
Yeah, you guys.
Yeah, the guy. He fought Sean Porter, and he a lot of people thought he won that fight, but I don't think he's going to beat Pacquiao. To be honest, no, I don't see that. I think that Earl Spence kind of recognized he wasn't on top of his game, so I think, you know, because Danny Garcia, if he had a little bit more heart, might have could beat Spence that night, but he looked like he was scared for some reason. Because Spence did not look sharp at all. He looked like a guy. He did not look like his best self, and I think that, you know, I hope he can come back to who he used to be, because I really enjoyed watching his fight, but, man, that was a horrific accident he was in.
Yeah, I think so. And I still say the best welterweight in that division right now. And I haven't seen a lot of his fights. I've seen of Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford is a bad man, and I gotta see him. I don't think anybody wants. I don't know. I wish Bob Arum and Al Heyman and all those guys would just get off. This is the thing. Boxing can be on the verge of coming back.
It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. That's fantasy. You keep saying that. It's not going to happen. Politics, them guys is not going to do it.
I know. I got you. You're right about. You're probably right
but
about that.
I will tell you this. Terrence Crawford, we're going to find out who he is because they just made Sean Porter his mandatory, and they're trying to negotiate the fight now or see if it comes up for purse bids. But Terrence Crawford has not been tested like Earl Spence. I would say Earl Spence the best because he beat Garcia, he beat Porter, he beat a better version of Kell Brook. He's fought better opposition. Terrence Crawford has not been fighting top guys. I like him, but the truth is, so when he fights Sean Porter, because if Sean Porter is the type of guy, you either fight or get out the ring. We're going to find out how legit Terrence Crawford is because it looked like that fight might be happening. Because they made him the mandatory for Terrence Crawford. So now, he would have to vacate the belt if he doesn't fight him, and I don't think he wants to do that. So we'll see. That would be a great fight. I would love to see that.
Oh, that would be oh my God, that would be. I love Sean Porter.
Oh, me too.
I mean,
Sean Porter.
I like whether he wins. I just like that guy's spirit.
Exactly.
But I will say this, and I'm still trying to get him on the show. Jaron Ennis, up the street in North Philadelphia. I've seen that, and John Mitchell just texted me. None of those fighters want anything to do with Boots. Yeah, I mean, Boots is a bad man. I've seen him fight.
A natural fight for him should be Danny Garcia. They're both from Philly. One's a veteran, one's a young guy coming up. It would be a crossroads fight because Danny Garcia's become more of a gatekeeper. I mean, that would be a natural Philly fight. Back in the day, that fight would have been made, but because of the way boxing, I've never seen a sport like boxing. It's the worst business model I've ever seen. These guys,
they shoot themselves in the foot.
Even making money can't bring these fools together.
I mean, it's like this is why I was telling you earlier, BG, was that they're shooting themselves in the dead. I almost said a bad word, but they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah, exactly.
They shoot themselves in the foot because
from a business standpoint, it doesn't make sense. It's just going to show you how stupid when people have egos, how stupid they can become. Because from a financial standpoint, it seems like they're trying to destroy the sport. And I've been watching UFC lately. That's the great model of sports. And I'm going to tell you, I saw that guy, Derek the Beast, fight last week. And they give you what they want, then they make the fights you want to see. Boxing, I've never seen a sport like boxing. It's ridiculous.
And the thing is, for all the success of UFC's business model, and this is success, and I'm starting to watch a little bit of it. I like the compelling stories. Mm-hmm. But for all success, UFC is still a niche sport. Boxing has a chance to put itself front and center, and they don't do it. Okay, I got to go to break because we're about to go to break. But the thing is though, and that's the thing that bothers me about boxing. And like I said, and like my man John Mitchell texted me, he said, "Look, nobody wants anything and want no parts of Boots." And I'm starting to see that. And, trying to get Boots to get on the show. So, Bozy, you guys out there listening, any friends, please bring him here to URD because that guy's a heck of a fighter. I mean, but dear boxing, dear Mr. Aaron, Mr. Heyman, Oscar De La Hoya, please don't go back in the ring. All the promoters out there, stop screwing up your sport. It's right there. The money's there for everybody. It's there for the taking. You're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, the Chris Murray Report. Will be right back.
Hey, WURD family, did you hear? It's official. The Colorectal Cancer Alliance just announced the new age for colon cancer screenings has been officially lowered to age 45 for everyone. If you are 45 or older, it's time to get screened. Go to WURDradio.com and click on the Go to Know banner to register for your free at-home screening test. Did you know colon cancer is largely preventable with on-time screening? And there's a 90% survival rate when caught early. African Americans are 20% more likely to get colon cancer and about 40% more likely to die from it than most other groups. So for the next 3 months, you can go to WURDradio.com and click on the Go to Know banner for your free at-home screening test. A screening navigator will contact you to ask a few questions and help you get screened. It's that simple. Again, just go to wordradio.com, click on the Go to Know banner, and fill out the form to request your free at-home screening test. Go to Know today.
Word Radio Digital Tip of the Month with Stephanie Humphrey. Brought to you by Comcast.
You might be enjoying the hot days of summer, but your smartphone probably isn't. Hotter temperatures can potentially damage your phone, so here are some things you can do to keep it cool. Don't leave your phone in direct sunlight or locked in a car if possible. And if you don't absolutely need it, ditch the smartphone case too. That can easily trap heat. Change the settings to lower the brightness, turn off data, put your phone in airplane mode, or try to do less high-powered activities like gaming. If you do notice your smartphone overheating, turn it off and take out the battery if you can. And don't try to cool it down by putting it in a refrigerator or freezer. Just keep your phone in a cool area for a while until it returns to room temperature. Stay cool, stay tuned to WURD for more tips, and stay connected with us at wordradio.com.
As a community service, Word Radio and the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium wants to keep you informed about where you can get barrier-free COVID-19 testing and vaccination this week. Deliverance Evangelistic Church, 2001 West Lehigh Avenue, Tuesday, August 10th and Thursday, August 12th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturday, August 14th from 12 noon till 4 p.m. Stay informed and stay well with Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Are you looking for a job? WURD has got you covered. We just launched a brand new job portal featuring jobs from some of Philadelphia's leading companies and arts organizations. If you go to the portal right now, you will see jobs from Word Radio, the Kimmel Center, Her Foods, Always Best Care, and more. Apply for a job today. Go to our livelihood website at wordworks.com. That's WURDworks.com and click jobs.
You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, we are back. But like I was saying in the last segment, man, I mean, okay, you know, boxing, you have the opportunity to make this money. People still love boxing in this country. They like UFC. UFC's starting to grow, but boxing is still the art. There's still the art, left jab and all that. UFC, while there is an art and there is a skill, because, you know, don't walk up to a UFC fight and think, oh, man, it looks like a street fight. You'll get your butt whipped. But I think UFC, for all their smart business planning, and then who knows, they'll be national. You never know. But UFC is still a niche sport. It's still pretty much a niche sport and everything. They may disagree to a certain extent. They're on ESPN. And so, you know, you can make that argument that they're maybe not a niche sport, but boxing has the opportunity to take it over the top, were it not for the egos of all the mavens of promotion. And that's the thing that I think has killed the sport on that one level. So that's one thing. So give me a call. What do you think about all this? 215-634-8065, 1-866-361-0900. You're calling outside of Philadelphia, outside of the Delaware Valley. You happen to be listening to us. Give us a call. I know y'all ain't outside in all that heat. The last couple of days, geez, it has been hot outside. I mean, you know, yesterday, guess where I was last night, Jordan? I was at the Mann Center last night, and the Working Families Party had a big concert, a fundraising concert. And now perhaps you've heard, have you heard of Saweetie? Have you heard of her?
Mm-hmm. Yep,
I saw her. Boy, that was a good concert. I mean, it's one of those things where, the wife was with me and we were all hanging out. And I had a good time. There was a lot of Neo was there last night. Mavis Staples, oh my God. All the old heads love Mavis Staples. Mavis Staples are the famous Staples singers. I'll Take You There and Come Follow Me. She sang that last night. And it wasn't like the original, but she can still sing, and she's, you know, she's up there. I'm not gonna say she's up there in age, but she's up there in age, and she sang really well last night. Wyclef Jean was there. I didn't know he was that great a guitar player. That guy, I mean, he was trying to look like Hendrix last night. I mean, it was fun. I mean, it was a fun occasion. I drank a lot, but it was hot. Lord have mercy. It was just hot out there last night. I drank a lot. I mean, I think I'm, you know, Dr. Paul would be proud of me for all the water I drank last night. You know, I think I had like a chicken nugget and some fries. They ain't had no barbecue sauce. I was kind of upset about that. They ain't no honey mustard, man. Come on. You know, and they ain't had no hot sauce. I'd take some hot sauce, man, but, you know, they ain't had that. So, but it was a fun night, raising for a worthy cause, you know, support the Working Families Party, because I think they do a lot of great things, and it was inspirational to hear some of the speakers last night. So I had fun last night. Okay, we got Eric from West Philadelphia. Eric, what's happening?
Hey, how you doing, Chris?
I'm doing okay, man.
A couple of things. First, Dr. Paul mentioned about the beef, but that farm-raised fish that's fed, they feed them corn and soy pellets, and both of them is highly genetically modified. So watch all that farm-raised fish, frozen fish, because that stuff, he told us, it got that white stuff on it. So if you cook it and you see this white stuff on it, you know that's that chemical stuff they put on it. So that stuff is good for you. Yeah, that's something he had taught us too, because I'll be listening to him. But when it comes to, I wanted to ask a question about basketball. I guess it's a rhetorical question. Did the Sixers pick the best player available? Is this rhetorical? That's a good one, man.
Well, that's a good question, because, I mean, you know, the kid that they picked, the kid out of Tennessee, he wasn't bad. I mean, he's a project. If he works hard enough, and maybe he impresses people during the Sixers training camp, okay, I can see, maybe I can see it. But, I mean, given where they picked in the draft, it probably was, but that's not, I don't think that's saying anything. I don't think that's, you know, I just think at the end of the day, time will tell. He might be. You never know. A lot of times, you know, guys who you think are kind of nondescript turn out to be pretty well. So, you know, turn out to be pretty good. So I don't know. Then again, but I go back to, you know, they traded away Mikal Bridges for just to get Zaire Smith. Where is Zaire Smith these days? I mean, that
non-existent.
You know, that's you know, that to me, and it's a legitimate question. My answer to that question, Eric, is I don't know, and I don't know if that was. It will tell me something moving forward. If he does well, if the kid, young gentleman does well, then you know we will kick ourselves and say we should have known, you know, we should have known this and all that, but we never know. So I'm just, you know, to me, it's up in the air at this point. It is really, really up in the air. I haven't seen the summer league games, and so I'm checking that Ken Jayden Springer, prove anybody right. I hope he does. I hope we were completely wrong about him, and he becomes a star, becomes the star point guard. But you never know. And it's you know, like I said, this is a team that now. If you would have asked me, how do we evaluate Markelle Fultz and Ben Simmons now, and we've seen them. We don't. The Sixers don't look all that good. Am I right, Jordan? I mean, you know, you can take a look at them now. We're not saying anything about Jayden Springer, and he might turn out to be an all-star. You know,
who knows?
for all we know. See, here's the thing that, being a sports writer, being a person in sports, the one thing I tell, there's always, when I go down to NovaCare, Phillies games and Sixers games, sometimes I sit back and I find it interesting that there's a lot of people in those locker rooms, in those places along press row who think they know just about everything. And I try not to be the smartest kid in the room, because I can say, I really don't know everything. That's why we ask questions, really, if you ask questions. And that's why we ask, but everybody thinks there's an expert. Hey, this guy's going to be this, or this guy's going to be that. And, sometimes you find yourself, all of a sudden, if somehow Jalen Hurts becomes a superstar, or Jaden Springer becomes a superstar with the Philadelphia 76ers, I wonder how many people are going to say, "Oh, I knew this all along." No, you probably didn't know it, but everybody wants to look like they're the smartest guy in the room. Everybody wants to look like. I find it funny sometimes when I see, sports writers talking about, well, weren't they in the A-gap blitz and all that? Well, sometimes it looks like certain things that, that we see up in the press box. The coaches will tell you differently. And, the way I look at it, it's one of those things where everybody thinks that they're, the sage expert. People kept talking, and then this John got another text from John Mitchell. We were talking about J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, and my thing was that, okay, I didn't think this guy was all that. I saw pictures, he looked good, but you never know. I mean, same thing with the organization, like the Philly Eagles kept, Jalen Reagor. Oh, he's going to, and this is the same team that passed on Justin Jefferson, who was the NFL's Rookie of the Year. Mm-hmm. Okay? And so, I look at that thing, none of these guys really, even people who try to tout themselves as geniuses, I mean, I'm still trying to figure out about Howie Roseman is that, and I like that guy. I don't get it twisted, he seems like a good kid, but I sometimes wonder, as a black person, how it is that a white guy can come in, never play the game, and all of a sudden he's an expert on athletes, drafting and picking athletes. I'd like to know if I could get that job and everything, because I've always been told, and I'm sure you've always been told, that, well, you got to have some experience playing football at the high school, college, or pro level, okay? Yep. And so if you never played the sport, now, last time I played the sport, I was about 14 years old and about 115 pounds soaking wet. And so from that standpoint, now I've done my share of reading. I look at personnel, I look at guys and all that. It'd be interesting paper to find out how people get their jobs in this way, especially if you've never played the game at any level and whatnot. I find that fascinating that they give some of these positions, maybe because someone else has taught them the game and all that, and nurtured them in that game and taught them certain things to look for. In other words, relying on other smart people. I don't know, but I find that interesting in terms of personnel. So I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. But I want to hear everybody else jump in. Talk about Eagles. Talk about a whole lot of other things. Talk about race and politics and sports. You want to talk about what's going on. You talk about Olympics aftermath. 215-634-8065, 1-866-361-0900. One of the things I didn't get to talk about last week on the show, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was the U.S. Amateur Boxing Program. They produced on the men's side, they produced 1 bronze medalist and 2 silver medalists, and 1 bronze medalist on the women's side. And the thing that bothered me about the Olympics last week is the fact that boxing got shoved almost to the margins, and you really had to, you had to get up at certain odd times in the morning to catch it live. And they really didn't do a good job, in my opinion, of covering. But then again, the U.S. Amateur Boxing Program, where is it? And anybody who works at these gyms who are into amateur boxing, if you can tell me what's going on with amateur boxing. I did a story years ago on that. Are people not boxing anymore? Are kids not coming into the gyms wanting to learn how to fight? I think Philadelphia might be the one of the last bastions of the city that has produced fighters. Danny Garcia. You talk about Boots Ennis and others, people who are trying to. More than a few guys, I think, who are at the world championship level. I'm sure my friend Mark Abrams would tell me that, along with Joe Sanluquito and others. But I like to know what has happened to amateur boxing. I mean, are kids not getting into the sport? Are kids, because there's so many other options that kids have nowadays. I mean, you can play football, you can play other sports where you don't have anybody, trying to take your head out. You even got fencing. I mean, now I've seen black people in the sport of fencing and everything. Don't give me a sword. I mean, I might start going Errol Flynn, swashbuckling, and all that other stuff. But that's the thing. I mean, let me ask Jordan. You're young. You're young enough. Did you ever want to box when you were a kid?
Phew, man, I don't think I had that thought actually. But actually, recently, like, I kind of actually got inspired doing boxing workouts, so.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind. Like I said, I think, boxing, I do think that they should channel kids into boxing in the sense that, not with the expectation, not always that you're going to step into the ring, but there's got to be some type of anger management that kids have, because, sometimes you go on a subway, you go on either the Broad Street line or the L, and a lot of times, I've over the years, sometimes I've taken the subway to assignments, and stuff like that, and I've seen kids trying to mess with older people, and there's a part of me, I said, boy, I wish some of you kids would try to mess with me like that, because I'm taking some of y'all out. Nobody really wants to do that. You want to fight nobody. But, I think a lot of the kids have this sort of energy and anger. And I said, put them in the ring, discipline it. Let them understand. Sometimes you learn to box so you don't really have to fight. You know what I mean? You learn how these things, you learn how to because I'd rather see them in the gym than outside. Somebody gets into a fight and someone wants to pull out their 9. They want to pull out their gun. And my thing is that, hey, man, take it to, as the Parliament Funkadelic used to say, take it to the stage, take it to the ring, get it out of you. And maybe you develop some level of respect for yourself and each other. I mean, in my humble opinion. And, the way I see it, I do think that, whenever I have Maurice from Southwest Philadelphia call into the show, he talks about that. And on that level, he's right, because, from that standpoint, I don't want to see kids. I mean, I don't like to see kids in the street fighting and all that, and I don't like to see, when it gets to that level, when the intent is just to totally destroy or annihilate the person you're angry with. And that goes back to a lot of mental health situations in our community. Why are children and people so angry? What's behind that? And that's a situation that I look at and I can say that, you really have to just figure out some programs. Like I say, I don't mind boxing. I mean, if a kid aspires to become a world champion, but as we learned in that documentary on the fighters on the executioners in West Philadelphia, the Executioners Club in West Philadelphia, a lot of those guys didn't make the pros, but they took those lessons, and they had their ups and downs like anything else, but they took those lessons of boxing, the discipline, the hard work. That's what you hope kids get out of it. Okay, we got to go to break. You're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. The Chris Murray Report. Will be right back.
Geico presents Motorcycle Word of the Day. Today's word is tank slapper. Is a tank slapper used to describe a handlebar wobble? Or is it a motorcycle joke that is so funny you just have to slap the gas tank with your hand as you laugh? As in...
Oh man, Daryl told me a great joke last night. It was hilarious. It was something about a dog wearing sunglasses. I wish I could remember. It was a real tank slapper.
Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
If you've got an insurance question, you could talk to your Nana, but she'd probably just tell you how she insured her couch from stains by covering it with plastic. Or you could talk to your local Geico agent. They'll give you a different kind of warm and fuzzy, with personalized assistance for all your insurance needs, like how you could be saving on your policies. So let your Nana cover her couch in plastic, and let a local Geico agent help cover you, but not in plastic. To find a Geico agent near you, visit geico.com/local.
James Schuler Boxing Gym presents Round the Way Rumbling, an amateur boxing event. Saturday, August 14th at 750 Brooklyn Street in West Philadelphia off 42nd and Lancaster Ave. First bout is at 3 p.m. Purchase tickets for $20 at jamesschulerboxing.com or call 215-399-7483. That number again is 215-399-7483. Let's get ready to rumble! Hey there, beautiful. Have you had severe hair loss? Do you have a scalp disorder? Is your hair thinning around the edges and crown? If you answered yes to any of these questions, give us a call at 215-225-2442 to schedule a consultation with Babes Holistic Hair Salon located at 3117 North Broad Street. Babes Holistic Hair Salon is dedicated to improving your inner and outer beauty. This ad is brought to you by the North Broad Renaissance and Truist Foundation.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, we are back. Reminder, the numbers to call in 215-634-8065, 1-866-361-0900. You want to talk Eagles, you want to talk boxing, you want to talk about just about anything. We're open book in our last segment, and I hope you guys are staying cool. It's hot outside. It's been hot. It's been it's been Arizona in the summertime. I gotta tell you a story, Joe, before I get to Woody from Whitfield. I gotta tell you a story. One time we went to the National Association of Black Journalists had their convention in Phoenix, Arizona, and we knew it was going to be hot. And somebody kept telling me, well, that's just dry heat. It won't be as hot. When he got off that plane, it was like 103 degrees. I felt like I was in the oven. The funk of the hot air just like, bam, hits you. I was like, oh, man. I mean, I don't think I drank any soda. I drank water. I drank a lot of water because it was just hot. It's just there's some places in the world just too hot. Woody from Whitfield, what's happening, man?
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Woody, how you doing, man?
Good, man. How you been?
Man, I have been busy. Been really busy.
I can tell. And listen, I listened to your wife on the air. You guys are a perfect match. I mean, if we had to make an example out of a good couple, I think you guys could hold that flag for a long time, and I look forward to you guys holding it for many years to come. I think she's excellent, and she really gets the point across and shares a lot of information with people. I wanted to say to you, you do the same on the sports end. And I did talk to Dr. Paul. I was so happy to hear him on today about you two guys getting together. I told you that that would be great, too, to get together, because I think you can't talk about sports unless you talk about health. These guys are some of the most excellent athletes in the world. And how do they get there? You see, most people in the stands, they're eating all the bad foods and they're not healthy and so forth and so on, but they like viewing health at work. You see what I'm saying? When will we get to the point where we can say, hey, let's view it and do it at the same time? This is why I said Dr. Paul would be great for your program and vice versa, yours for his. I think sports can help bring us out of an unhealthy type of an environment, because we've been trained to eat the wrong foods, to take in all of this stuff that's going to hurt us, because this is capitalism. Capitalism makes money on your being unhealthy, because now you got to go to the doctor. Now you need an operation. Now you need a transplant, so forth and so on, and the beat goes on. See, humanism is everything. Capitalism is just what America does. It takes it out to the rest of the world and say, hey, let's do this, let's do that, we can make more money. But it's not in us as a people to just be capitalists. We have humanism in us. That's why we have to get to the minds of our children, because what's happening to them, and I really believe this, there's a new study that came out that has to talk about glaucoma. It's actually an older study, but we are like the highest group of people getting glaucoma. Why do you think that is, Chris?
Well, it's a number of factors. It's like lack of healthcare facilities. I think there's some things that we do, especially men. We are horrible, and I'm going to include myself in that category about taking care of ourselves as men, because we think, I'm strong and this, that, and the other. But I also think that in a lot of our poor communities is poor nutrition. I thought it was funny a couple of years ago, and I think I was guilty of this too. I remember when the Popeyes came out with that chicken sandwich, and that chicken sandwich was good. But I swear to God, fast food is something I try to do maybe once a month, just to
But you know it's an addiction, right, Chris?
Huh?
You know it's an addiction. And they made it addiction on purpose.
Yeah.
So it's really you blaming yourself, but it's really, again, another trick to get you sick. See, the key here is how do you stay healthy? That's a sport in itself. That's why I liked Muhammad Ali. Both of them, Ali, Frazier, they all came through these doors here, and I was glad to know these people and to be able to talk with them. Sticking and moving was Ali's style. You see what I'm saying? To me, Joe Frazier, he had that hook. He could lay for you until he could hit you with that hook. That left hook would knock you out. I don't have to tell Ali that. His jaw spoke for itself. But my point is this. Everybody has a talent of some sort to live life. We got to use the sports attitude about winning in life. What we're doing now, our kids have been miseducated and undereducated in inner city schools all over the country. So the key here is the lack of education doesn't allow them to get out and do very much more than to be on the streets. And they can't fill out applications, all those types of things. It's a disadvantage. But it was also done on purpose because you make money in prisons, you make money with the lawyers, and all this other stuff is constantly doing things that are making money. But at the same time, you're not realizing this all ties into health. But if you use health as a sport and start saying, well, I'm not going to eat this today. Instead of eating this, I'm going to eat a fruit or a vegetable. This is going to make me jump higher, run faster. You see, this is something that can be put together in a mindset, and this is why I said Dr. Paul and yourself are a great couple together here as it relates to information. Tying these two things together can help these kids start to see, because they want some of the greatest sportsmen in the world. Last but not least, I'll say this. They're giving University of Penn all this money to do that research on glaucoma. Now, I'm going to give you the thing that I believe. You realize darkness is a conduit to energy, right?
Right.
Okay, so lightness repels energy. That's why you wear light clothes in the summer, supposedly, and you wear darker clothes in the winter. When you got these kids in front of that blue light continually, these computers all the time, and they sit there for hours and hours and hours, it goes through that retina into the brain, down the vertebrae, into the spine, and throughout your entire central nervous system. So it's affecting how you feel, what's going on inside your head. But nobody knows this yet. Now, see, I pray on around things. And God sends me thoughts and feelings and emotions. I'm unorthodox as it relates to finding out about information, but all of us have skills like that. We got to bring our heads together. So you're in sports, Dr. Paul's into the natural herbs. I'm the one who talks to the people, barbershop talk, working on the head and in the head. I know we got the answer within ourselves. All we have to do is pray to the higher source that created us so that we come up with the answer. I think this can lead us toward trying to get something done that's going to help that blue light from going into that retina, disturbing the rest of your central nervous system.
That's interesting you say that. Because I'm going to tell you, you know, it's about video games and being on the computer. There was a point where a lot of times I'd come back, when I was in the Tribune, there was a lot of times I come back from work, right? And, you know, if I was covering a Sixers game or a Phillies game late at night, and I come home and I could not go to bed right away. So I had the old PlayStation 2 and all that. And a lot of times what I would do, and it's probably, as it turns out, a bad thing, because sometimes when I would use that to play either baseball or the NCAA football, and sometimes, you know, I would get into it, like against that computer. Sometimes when you start losing, it's like, and there's something about the video games, and I say this from experience, Jordan, is that sometimes it gets you hyped to the point where you have to kind of, there's a point where I had to stop for a while because, you know, especially after work, where you really should just relax when you come home.
It's also an addiction, Chris. That addiction, it's also an addiction. Everything is an addiction. Right. It's made to do exactly what you're saying, but you're a wise man. Your body knew that something was wrong, so you're doing something about it. We got to get together. Me, you, Dr. Paul, you're on the way because you had him on today. Let's sit down and talk, man. University of Penn's getting $1 billion for doing research on this glaucoma issue. Your eyes are your brain. So please pass that on to him. I'm going to share it with him as well. So I'm going to let you go. I don't want to hold you guys up too much longer. And you got a wonderful man there. He's your producer there. He's a great young man, and he's going to be a great person as he grows into total adulthood. I see great things coming for him. So take care, man.
All right, thanks, man. Thanks, Woody. I'm coming to your shop. You don't know, I'll come there on a day when you least expect it. I'm coming to your shop. But you know, Jordan, you play video games, right? I play video games, but a lot of times I get to a point where, you know, because sometimes I would get mad, like if I lose like that, or sometimes I just say, you know what, I got to a point where I said, if I'm down 30-0 and the thing is cheating on me, I hit the reset button. I don't care.
Yep. I was just like,
because you got to hit the reset button. Because it's not worth it. And sometimes Denise would get mad at me. Why are you talking? Because I'm like, because sometimes, you know, I throw the controller, this doggone thing is cheating me and all that. Because sometimes, man, you can have a guy wide open, right? Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, there's no way, not even in a real football game, and a guy's going to come 50 yards across the field and make the interception. I swear to God, I'm just like, man.
It's like, seriously. And then even like in NBA 2K, you have like some sort of glitch. Like also you just like near out of bounds, but you actually didn't go out of bounds. Then you get called for it. It's like, what? Like, damn.
I mean, you just like, you know, and then, but see, I think the game does make you, I mean, I don't buy war games. I don't buy like, you know, Call of Duty. I don't believe, because I think that somehow, the subtle conspiracy theorist in me says, I wonder if that's preparing kids for war. But with video games, I had to learn, I can't spend, first of all, my attention span, I don't like to be sitting in any one location for hours. Some kids play for hours. I had a friend of mine who kept telling me, come on, Chris. I'm like, no, because I have a life. And a lot of times I don't, you know, I'd rather, we got it. We're almost at that point. But sometimes you don't want to, that's unhealthy. You want to play, you know, I understand everybody wants to play, you know, video games, but sometimes I can only stand, okay, I'll play the game, and if I win, great. If I lose, okay, let me pick up my guitar. and just, start strumming and start playing. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the denouement. It is time for us to wrap this thing up. We are done. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who called in. Jordan, as always, on the wheels of steel, getting us through. Thank Dr. Paul Hopkins for a very enlightening show today. Thank you guys for calling in. And, we'll be back, and we're going to have some guests. We're going to have some more people. But I like the fact that, I can talk to my listeners. You all keep calling in, tell your friends, tell your family, listen to us, support us, because we get by the power of you guys listening. So like I said, you're listening to WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. The Chris Murray Report will be back on next week. We'll see you guys next week for another edition of the Chris Murray Report. Have a great weekend.